The Panthers did Jalen Coker right. And he said, I'll make my diet right. And boring. At the same time, TMAC is putting on pounds while Coker's getting shredded. And Rasheed Walker is ready for some competition. Oh, don't forget, Lee Hunter is training with a beast. It's the C3 Panthers podcast. Let's rock.
Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
It's Tuesday night, 9 p.m., and the C3 Panthers podcast is chopping up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Shout out to the Carolina Hurricanes, 20 years on the dot. They're celebrating another Stanley Cup. Rod Brindamore, Rod Bod. I'm telling you, I mean, he played to his like 44 or something like that. Looking great, hoisting this big, heavy cup above his head, making the guys train all year. They didn't know it to hoist the cup above their head. Put a statue up in Raleigh for this man. He is victory. He is the GOAT when it comes to North Carolina right now. And we are asking, in many ways, can the Carolina Panthers one day bring a championship like the Hurricanes have done twice to the Carolinas? Well, I guess they're the North Carolina. They're not. We're the Carolina Panthers. Tonight, we got a great show. We got a great show for you guys. Jalen Coker, big extension. And when we say big extension, not crazy, but life-changing for him. Important for the Carolina Panthers. TMAC bulking up, putting on a little weight, and maybe not even, maybe just his, like he said, my real weight. Dave Canales might have a type, and it might be 6'5", 220. I think that might be his type. Rasheed Walker's ready to compete, and Lee Hunter training with a beast. There's some more in there, too. Thank you for tuning in on Tuesday night. We're hanging out here, and I love to do it and hang out with my man, my wheel man, Cody Lack. How you doing, my friend?
Tony Dunn, Codizzle Allen, my boys. As you already know, there is nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than sitting here talking Panthers football with the best damn Panthers fans on the internet. Big time show tonight, man. You already alluded to some of it, but we also have some insight from Joe Person as he answers some of the summer questions that Panthers fans have been asking. And Mike Kaye of the Charlotte Observer put out his 53-man roster projection.
Oh, wow.
We're going to break down that. Yeah, right. Listen, we're going to break down all of that. And we're going to be doing this, as I alluded to earlier, with the C3 Legion, the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know, we got them in the building. We got our boy Anthony Piccarello. What's up, dude? Eric Blair, John B. Jenkins, Michael Weidrich in the house. What's up, brother? And you know, the Hope Dealer is in the chat, dealing all that hope, Tony Dunn. And Dan Floyd at the buzzer. What's up, brother? Tony Dunn. It's a Tuesday night. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Thank you for hanging out with us. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe. We're on iTunes and Spotify and wherever else you get your podcasts these days. My man, the man with the golden pipe, CK, good to hang out with you. It was fun even just catching up a little bit about the fan before the show.
Yeah, man, always good just be able to chat. And, you know, again, somehow the Panthers always find some news for us to talk about every single week, even when there shouldn't be anything to talk about. So, man, just happy to be here with you fellas, trying to figure out what the Panthers are thinking with some of these moves, some of these, interviews, some of these the players, what they have on their mind, how they think this Panthers team is going to perform. And even hearing Jalen Coker talking about how much he's looking forward to playing with Bryce again this year, with NFL Network on the Insiders. He's getting some traction with the media, and that's something that I think we all should be excited about, especially given right now we have a lot of potential in this wide receiver room, and Jalen Coker getting paid just shows that this team agrees with that.
Right now, every single person listening, do us a solid, smash the thumbs up button. If you're not subscribe. And one great way you can help us continue to grow, especially in the sludge or the grind of this low season of information, is to hit share. Watching on X, hit repost. If you're watching on YouTube, click it and send it, put it on Facebook, Reddit, wherever you're hanging out. That would do us a solid. Tonight's show, big decisions loom large for the Panthers after key extensions made. And really, thank you, Carolina, for doing Jalen Coker right and giving us something to talk about. Cody, take us into tonight's show.
Yes, sir. So you already know that the Carolina Panthers decided to show undrafted free agent Jalen Coker some of what we might call that I love you money. Jalen Coker's 3-year contract extension, 3 years, $35 million base value, $12.5 million fully guaranteed, 3 more next March, $1.2 million per game bonus incentive or per game bonuses, $6 million of incentives/escalators. The cap hits across the next 4 years are $3.4 million, $5.1 million, $9.2 million, and $16.7 million, respectfully. Listen, I love this for Jalen Coker. The man has literally dropped nothing since he has been here in Carolina. I think him and Bryce Young have an effortless connection, and I do feel that Tony C.K., we've said this before, he's the number 2 wide receiver in this offense. Now, health has been an injury, injuries have been a concern of his, but whenever he is healthy, he is a difference maker. And we saw this last year in the playoff game against the Los Angeles Rams. This guy is a big-time player, and I love the fact that they signal that when you bust your ass and put in work and make a meaningful difference on the field, the Carolina Panthers will reward you for their services. So not only is this a good thing for Jalen Coker, for the Panthers offense, but Tony C.K., I also feel like this sends a great message to the other players in that locker room that hard work pays off, even for a undrafted free agent like Jalen Coker.
Additionally, I think what I love about the structure of this contract is it allows him to have something to work towards, right? He's only got 12 million guaranteed, which still generational wealth for him, so let's not forget that for a moment.
Right.
But
sure,
what it is it's guaranteeing, like, if he can perform, yeah, it might be 3 million this year, 5 million the year after, but the year after that it's 9, and the year after that it's 16. What that tells me is that it's incentivizing Jalen Coker to perform at the level he has been, but get better every year and justify us not cutting you loose before that 2029 deadline to save some money. I think they structured it that's a team-friendly way, that it's incentive-laden, and it allows him to be able to have something that continues to, allow him to thrive for something more.
All right. Help me understand a little more. You said go back to the guaranteed money, because I was under the impression that the guaranteed money was a little bit higher. Tell me what exactly, because one thing that is important, I guess, to understand is that this was an extension, I believe. Like, I hope I'm not getting it wrong. So you have him under this year under contract under the the stupid
the previous deal that
it's called
that he was under.
Hold on, I was going to come to me the
restricted free agent.
The restricted free agent, where they then get him for a league minimum. For like you could have done him, I won't say dirty, but yeah, and say, look, we're going to pay you it's like $1.1 million this year, and it's not even guaranteed. They could cut him and not pay him, but still. But this is an add-on, so they have him for 4 years under this contract structure. CK said 13 million. I heard more, 17 million guaranteed. This was very early when the news came out, so I am fully understanding that those early numbers. Tell me about the guaranteed money again.
So this is according to Spot Track, and this is a website that everybody goes to when looking up contracts. I looked up what Rappaport said. Yeah, go ahead and pull it up. Rappaport didn't say anything about guaranteed money. Rappaport just said 35 million with incentives up to 41 million, which would make sense because it says 6 million of incentives / escalators. So, 3-year, $35 million base value, 12.5 million in fully guaranteed money, 3 million more next March, 1.2 million per game bonuses, and 6 million of incentives. So
one of the things that when we go with guaranteed money is that there's the first round of guaranteed money, which is like, hey, if we cut you tomorrow, this is fully guaranteed.
Yes.
But you also have to usually count in this year, right? So this is over the caps discussion. Jalen Coker signed 3-year, 34. It's probably going to be the same thing. $34 million contract extension. This says 19.5 million is guaranteed. 18.5 million is the new money. 12.5 is fully guaranteed at signing. CK. All right.
Okay. So here's my question. What I don't understand is this is a 3-year extension. Can you do me a favor and tell me what 17 times 3 is?
Here, 17 times 3.
I mean, I can give you the answer if you're interested.
34.
51.
Yeah.
Okay. If he's getting $1.2 million per game as a bonus, how is this only able to be worth $41 million?
No, all right. So here, I think this is what we do is look, and I'm going to try to zoom in here real quick on this. Maybe I can plus it, Control plus. No, it's not going to get bigger. Maybe this is bigger for the viewers. All right. So he's going to get this is the $7 million is this guaranteed right here. If we look at prorated signing bonus, so they've extended that. He's going to get $2 million in salary. So he's going to get $3 million there this year. How's this work? This might be the most complicated contract I've ever seen. Is his signing bonus was $7 million. His salary in 2029. Here's the thing. In 2029, he's going to have a $13 million salary, but they could cut
not
him.
Yeah, that's
so
not
we're at 26. He is going to get this. He's going to get $1 million this year, plus the prorated sign $2 million, plus per game roster bonus $1 million. Now explain that. I think that's what you were looking. I don't think it's per game. I think it's
17. It's 17. It's so 1.02 divided by 17.
Correct.
So, but that's still, if you think about that,
salary.
That makes like that's an incentive for him for the health.
Go out there and play hurt.
No, well, I mean, you could say that.
He's like, I'm good. Pump me up full of everything.
Yeah, just
same
whatever
thing
it takes.
with everyone. Everyone is. And what about this? Is that would suck if the Panthers were bent not wanting to play you, and you're like, oh man, I just lost, $85,000.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind, cutting him after 2027, you would save potentially, $5.7 million on the cap, and then 15
dead money
million.
at 3.
There's no shot that we aren't renegotiating or restructuring this contract if he is sticking around.
He doesn't want to. That's going to bring us to something that he's talked about, is that just because he got a contract does not mean that he is done, that this is the end. Go ahead and bring back the show up. I'm sorry. I took it over with the look is this is one thing I think about this contract that I think is interesting or good. And if we look at this, is Jalen Coker, while he's made some big plays for the Carolina Panthers, has had very limited, not limited, but look, his stats are he's had 872 receiving yards over 2 years. He's had 5 touchdowns. He had a monster playoff game against the Rams.
Has not recorded a single drop his entire time here in Carolina. I mean, the dude is, he has totally outperformed expectations. And, think about this. What are the chances that we got him on a bargain? Like, what if he balls out this year? What if him and TMAC again, we're really projecting showing our oats here, but what if him and TMAC are both 1,000-yard wide receivers? Like, what if he is the predominant number 2 wide receiver going forward in Carolina? This could end up being something of a steal.
Oh, certainly. I think it's a deal for the Panthers in a way. There's a little risk because he's an outsider. Not an outsider. For fans, we love him, right? For fans, we've been like, oh, this guy makes plays. He shows up when other guys aren't showing up. He hasn't had a drop. He's made these big plays. But that's an insulated fan perspective. From the outside is you're talking about you're paying a guy some money that you didn't have to pay him for a limited amount of production. Right? 5 touchdowns, 872 yards, 65 receptions. So he's basically averaged 32.5 receptions a year. He's averaged 435 yards a year and 2.5 touchdowns. To me, the Carolina Panthers, though, is that they had an opportunity in a bad way. I felt so bad. I was on record. I've been on this show. I've been on the radio talking about this, is that this is fucked up, this exclusive free agent tag thing, that Coker couldn't go out into free agency and maybe get $10 million over 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. And the Panthers could have paid him $1.1 million. And that's it. They could have rocked this year and said, you know what? We're going to go with TMAC, which they said, we're going to go with TMAC. We're going to go with XL. We're going to go with Coker. We're going to draft Brazel. And we're going to see how it works out. And they could have discounted this. And I think this was a meet in the middle. I think it says something about what they think about Jalen Coker, number 1, which I'm excited about. Yeah. And number 2, I think they did him right enough. I think this is a good, to me, this, like, if I'm Jalen Coker, I'm like able to breathe. And you know what? We're going to talk a lot about it, Cody. I'm sure you got a lot. We talked about that he's talking about this is not the end of it, but this is the beginning. But if you're this player that is like trying to make it, trying to battle, trying to do this, and worried about injury at every moment, this has to give you a little peace of mind. CK called it life-changing, which it is. I mean, you make $12 million. That's different than any one of us on this show or anybody is going to make. And I know that's not in comparison to other players and other components or Elon Musk and his IPO. Right. But this, I think this was a good gesture by the front. Not a good gesture because that makes it sound like he didn't deserve it. I think this is, to me, this is all, everybody wins in a way, but it also tells us that they believe that Jalen Coker is going to contribute this year.
Absolutely. And, shout out to those C3 connections. Last year, we got an opportunity to interview Jamal Coker, Jalen's father. and I still had that number saved in my phone. So I sent him a congratulations text message on the day that it happened, and he responded back to me and thanked me for all the love. But dude, this is incredible. I love what we did. I love the message that it sends. This is from Panthers.com. For weeks now, Jalen Coker has tried to keep his excitement at bay. Conversations would arise about his role in the Carolina Panthers offense, his future with the team, and a possible extension on the horizon. The last topic since the end of the 2025 season, when Coker staked his claim as wide receiver too. I mean, you literally have the Panthers website calling him wide receiver too, and it's absolutely fair that they do that.
Very important.
Yes.
And noteworthy, I should say.
She says, but throughout each conversation, each nudge or question about a possible extension, Coker would simply smile and push it off, not wanting to get ahead of himself while talks were underway. It was definitely hard to hide excitement that was slowly starting to build at meeting Coker on Friday, sitting in front of the contract he had just finished signing that will keep him in Charlotte through at least 2029. But at the same time, I didn't want to make it too big where it was distracting me from the work that we were putting in these past 8 weeks. Finally, on Thursday, the receiver and the Panthers came to an agreement, a 3-year extension that marks the first extension for player general manager Dan Morgan. For a player, general manager Dan Morgan has drafted or signed since the beginning of his tenure. I feel I did my best to put the team first in everything that I do. So I waited till the very last second before I told my family and all that stuff to get really excited. So it was a process, but obviously worth it. And Tony, CK, you see his mindset, even in reading that, he's thinking about work. He's thinking about putting the team first. This is the kind of work ethic that got him to the point of being able to sign this contract extension. Super happy for the young man, super happy for his family. Couldn't have happened to a better person. And if you're a fan of Jalen Coker, man, you better go get to that white Coker jersey. You feel me? I mean, come on now.
Oh, man. Give us somebody I saw on Twitter said, like, if we could have a bunch of Cokers. I was like, who wouldn't want a pile of Cokers?
Yeah.
The idea is here. I like that he's talking about for him is that this is, I'm sure there is a relief, or not a relief, of a sense of fulfillment, monetary, a little security, but already talking about that he knows too that this contract, while it's is better, far better than what he had, is an opportunity now that he gets 2 years with the Carolina Panthers to go out there and become a player that can then make a real contract, like a real significant contract. Michael Wydrick in the chat says, I believe XL is on the clock of either keeping his job as a starter or losing it to rookie Chris Brazel. For me, I think that this is a signal. Drafting Brazel, moving up for XL to get the 5th-year option.
Yeah.
Drafting TMAC when the defense was in shambles. That Dan Morgan and Brant Tillis realized that free agency is not the place to go for wide receivers because it will destroy your cap number. And I think the Carolina Panthers are sitting here going, we can find a way to bargain. It's not discount, but not go after. Imagine if you were paying $34 million to Drake London this year, or you went and did these other things. I think this is a way that the Carolina Panthers are trying to make the wide receiver position itself not too economically unsustainable. I saw a tweet from Sheena Quick that said Coker on his dietary changes this offseason. Do you remember that last year coming in off of his rookie year where Coker had he was kind of the fan favorites. He made some big plays where other guys weren't, where, XL made some big drops. He had limited opportunities. He looked like he made the most. he was the downfield threat. And you're like, why is this guy the downfield threat at a Holy Cross or wherever he was? Like, Holy Cross, it's Jalen Coker. And then he came into camp. Do you remember people were talking about him kind of like having a hefty body, not being they were talking about his weight and some different things. I think even the coaching staff mentioned some stuff. But Jalen Coker is obviously aware of these things, or maybe it's like the Sheena Quick tweeted this: Coker on his dietary changes this offseason. Lots of ground beef, rice, and salmon. Not fun, but it has to happen. We're watching the young man grow up. And I'm not saying that he was immature. That's not my point. Is that, guess, you know what? Being an adult sucked.
CK, I don't know if you remember, but when you and I, CK, I don't know if you remember, but when you and I interviewed Jalen Coker's dad, Jamal, he talked about that. He said that, he has a higher metabolism than his son does, that he can eat whatever he wants and he'll never gain weight. But that Jalen doesn't necessarily have that luxury, but that because of that, he's a bigger guy. He's a strong dude. And Tony, I think that matters too. Like, that's why they don't mind putting him on the outside or putting him in the slot. He has a bigger body that, having to go across the middle. I mean, it's not early 2000s football anymore, but, he can take a heavy tackle across the middle of the field.
Sure.
He's built well. He catches everything. And I do think that size and strength ultimately does benefit his play style.
As a man, someone, I'm now a man, but when I was a boy, I was a shrimp. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I graduated high school, I was 5'9", 5'10". I still say I'm 5'10". Some lady at the doctor's office pushed me to the center of the earth. This was I thought I was 5, but this was a bad moment in my life. I was like, I'm 5'10". I've been 5'10" my whole last 10 years. I was 30, and went to the doctor's office, and this little woman took that, that little rod they put on your head when they measure your height, and
to make sure that you're adding.
He pushed so hard. I was like, "Why are you trying to push me to the center?" And she said, "You're 5'9" and 3/4." I was like, "Fuck!" It really fucked my world existence up. It really did. It was a big, but for someone who was, I was 140 pounds when I graduated high school. I was always like eating. Come from an Italian family where it's like you overeat, they feed. But like when you are just a skin and bones, you develop bad habits, right? And it's like because you can eat whatever you want all the time. And on top of that, you're trying to put on weight. You're not trying to get skinnier. Whatever the age is it 30? Is it this? For me, it was about 30. And all of a sudden it's like, boom, you can't eat the 2 pork chops. It does take discipline, and you have to fight these habits. And I'm not saying that's the case, but in this case, I like this is he got paid and he's doubling down on.
He's not resting on his laurels.
I want more. I want more.
Yeah. Love
it.
Very excited. I really do think that by the time, this contract is either up or we're looking to extend him, we're going to look back on this as a bargain. So shout out to the man, but let's talk about another
guy who's trying to eat more.
Yeah, another guy who's trying to eat more and, really kind of get back to a more functional weight. Tetaroa McMillan seems to be doing a pretty good job of getting some pretty weighty expectations. The 23-year-old pass catcher spoke with reporters following Wednesday's series of mandatory minicamp. He was asked about his offseason transformation and claimed he put on 17 pounds of muscle from the last time we saw him on field. McMillan stated that he was at his lightest playing weight ever as a rookie and hoped the additional mass would get him back to his college playing weight. He was listed at 212 pounds while at the University of Arizona and 219 pounds at the NFL Scouting Combine. As he enters his second NFL season, McMillan believes the game has slowed down for him even as his size goes up. Second year in the playbook, I'm not a rookie no more to where New things come flying at me. So the game's a lot slower. I got a year under my belt, 18 games. I feel good now. And for the most part, the reaction to this, Tony CK, has been very positive, right? If you liked what he was able to do at Arizona, well, then you should love this, that he's at this weight. My question to some of the guys on the Friday free-for-all was, weight isn't always a good thing when speed is such a primary component to playing wide receiver. Is there any trepidation that you might have at all to this being, something that could potentially slow him down in his routes and in his route progressions? Or do you just think that this is him just getting back to his man body and being able to deal with those press man corners using his immense height and weight?
CK, go ahead.
I don't think that I'm overly concerned about that. I think, one of the things that I don't think that he was touted for top end speed.
Thank you.
So extra weight doesn't really bother me there. If anything, I think it helps him with his routes because they're going to be playing press man, and they're essentially trying to get him. Their focus, in my opinion, would be they're going to try to get him off his route immediately, right on the line of scrimmage. And so I think his weight could certainly help there. I also think that one of the things that he might have struggled with, and maybe struggled is a strong word, but it wasn't like he wasn't DJ Moore when it comes to yards after the first contact, right? So I think that this could be another attempt at him trying to make sure that he is able to compete with some of these DBs in the league. I have very little, concern about the extra weight at this point.
I have no concern. I think this is the type of player you want him to be, is at 200, 220. I mean, not 200, 220. I think, if you get over 225, you're starting to get, you could get lethargic in a sense. You want to be big and strong. He had a 4.48 40. He said that at some stopwatches, he was at 4.54. He was not. Tet is not a go ball guy.
Sure.
And I don't mean that he can't get downfield, but you did not draft him to be the Randy Moss, put the arm up, I beat you, and I'm down the field, and this is an 80-yarder. I don't think there's a comparison to like a guy like Robbie Anderson. And Robbie Anderson actually could play strong at times, but Robbie Anderson was long, lean, and trying to beat you on the fly.
Yeah.
And get behind you and just go. I think what you want Tet to Tetaroa, I'm sorry, I call him Tet, but I know his family doesn't want him to be called that for easiness and for sake, is that you want him to be a versatile possession receiver, a guy that can get you 9 yards and a first down, that can fight at a 4-yard and break a tackle and get some yards, and is fast enough to make a big play. But you did not draft him to just be a burner. You drafted him to be a big, strong, versatile wide receiver. And I don't think anybody is going to say Mike Evans, we needed him to trim some weight. I think that we want him to be a bigger body. In fact, if anything, I thought he looked lean his rookie year. He looked like a young man, and not to say he played really well, but you're right. CK you're going to be battling. You're going to be battling in short yardage and goal line positions and things like this. I have no issue with this. You did not draft him for singular speed. So no, I think this is the not only the right thing, but I also might say that it brings to light kind of like how what combine statistics is. He probably shed 8 pounds to try to get
trying to be able to run faster, be a 4.5 guy.
Right.
Yeah, and we can see this is that's not only what wins in the NFL. I think we want him to be a big, strong, tall guy who has speed and movement. But you're not like juking and doing all of this. He's got to do everything. An X receiver he's not a go ball guy. And I'm not saying can't be a go ball guy, but I just don't think that's his bread and butter. I think his bread and butter is versatility.
Part of the reason why you drafted him is because he wins with size and strength, and he does have incredible hands. He has a great catch radius, and this is where he is at his best. And we've seen it time and time again. There have been so many NFL wide receivers that were not your stereotypical burner. You know, I think famously, what was it? Jerry Rice ran like a 4.6 something.
Right.
You know, so this over the top speed is very overrated.
Or straight line.
Not that it doesn't matter, but in a sense, the way in which you run your routes and the way in which you get in and out of your breaks is probably more important than it is just being an absolute burner, or else, Jimmy Horn Jr. might already be a number one wide receiver. You know, I think that size and that strength is part of the reason what makes him so dangerous is because, dude, unless you're one of these bigger corners that's able to man up TMAC, dude, he is a hoss. You know, that's tough to deal with, especially if you are in press man coverage with a guy like TMAC. It's hard to deal with that level of size and strength and his ability to just not be knocked off of routes. And I have no reason not to trust him. Yeah, I have no reason to not trust him.
20 is not like you're heavy.
Yeah, and dude, when he was at OTAs, he looked svelte. You know what I'm saying? He's not fat. He looks like he does carry it well, and that's the benefit of being 6'5". You know, he has a lot of frame to be able to pack that on. I have no reason to think that he's anything other than doing what's best for his body to hold up to these, NFL corners trying to press him.
I will not have any concerns until we get to the 230s.
Yeah.
You know, is that?
Yeah.
I mean, and I won't even have necessarily concerns then, but like that's not what his body type is probably going to be meant for. But 220, is 210 for him is thin. 220 is right on target, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, again, any heavier, sure, I think you do risk maybe being a little bit heavier than you should be. Sluggish is a good way to put it. You might even introduce injuries that you wouldn't normally have due to this extra weight that you're putting on. So, I mean, I'm not. I agree. I think right now that's kind of the perfect spot.
And what did he really weigh last year, guys? 215. He said that was 212. I mean, we're talking. You could go and take a big crap and eat a couple of salads, and he could be at 215.
He said you weighed 205 last year.
Oh well, okay. You see, that's too lean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I weigh, and I'm in a good. And
I want him to be bigger than 205 for sure.
And I'm not 6'4". All right.
But by the way,
TMAC is that, but that's what we want him to be. We want him to be we don't want him to only be a one-trick pony, which that wasn't his trick. Even last year, his trick was not just running like a downfield route and trying to catch a deep ball. It was taking an 8-yard catch and turning it into a 17-yard gain. And that's what he's going to be able to do, and not just be arm tackled or anything like that. No worries and no concerns there for me at all.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Secret Surface Wilmington. Says, yeah, I do have concerns with Tet's extra weight. If he's going to be a number one, he's got to have a speed component. And then he mentions Kelvin Benjamin. Let me tell you, he's a long way off from Kelvin Benjamin.
Not even close.
Yeah, not even close.
And I think
his work ethic puts Kelvin Benjamin to shame What I'm saying is
but
this.
in defense of Kelvin Benjamin, his frame was far bigger. You know what I'm saying? It's like kind of saying like XL. XL is, I mean, if XL is 228, you're not like, oh my God.
Right, because it carries it well. What I'm saying is this. We're always going to call a spade here at C3. If there's ever a moment during the season where we feel that TMAC is playing slow and sluggish, we will absolutely revisit this and talk about if it's something relevant or not. But until then, there's no reason for us to think that this is anything other than a good thing.
Yeah, and I don't think it changes his speed. Is like when you get to a weight that is too much, right? Like for your body physique, whatever that is. And it's different for different people, like a XL or a Benjamin, you know what I'm saying? I think is about endurance. Is that for me is like when I weigh 5 pounds heavier than I should, and I'm 5 pounds or I'm right, or like my endurance is better. So when it starts to affect your ability to play fast, play after play, that's when I would be like, wait a second, you know, we should be thinking things different. No concern here at all. In fact, I actually think it's going to be for his benefit. Let's go, Cody. Let's see. We've got we've talked about Jalen Coker. We talked about Tet McMillan. Who we got now?
Next up, we are talking about Rasheed Walker. This is somebody who we were very excited to sign in the offseason. And on ESPN, somebody has told someone at ESPN that Rasheed Walker was a discount. This is Walker entered free agency with the top billing at left tackle, which usually pays handsomely. In March 2025, Dan Moore Jr. received a 4-year, $82 million contract from Tennessee, but the league seemed to push back on inflated tackle contracts this free agency cycle. That perception, coupled with Walker's late season struggles and January arrest at New York's LaGuardia Airport on a gun charge, likely crashed Walker's hopes of a big payday. I don't even know if I knew about that.
All right. So this gun charge thing was, it was not even a real, it's like one of these, I won't say a loophole thing, but it is like in his check baggage.
So it was a nothing burger.
No, nothing. I don't think it had it had nothing to do with his economic viability.
Yeah. Carolina capitalized on a suppressed market by signing Walker to a 1-year, $4 million contract that carries an additional $6 million in incentives, a deal that shocked many around the league. Nobody was paying him $20 million a year, but no way I thought it would be that low. An AFC executive said, capable tackles usually get way more than that. That's a great deal for Carolina. I'm thinking many teams would have done that deal. And, you know, it also kind of illuminates our willingness to sign Monroe Freeling. I wonder, you know, if we had signed Rasheed Walker for more money and a bigger contract, would we have even entertained a left tackle at the 19th overall pick? And I do think that is, you know, a good part of the discussion to be had. But and this article that talks about Monroe Freeling does mention that Rasheed Walker is expected to get first-team reps when training camp begins in July. That doesn't mean that Freeling hasn't impressed. Head coach Dave Canales said of Freeling, and then we'll use this to talk about the difference between the two. I've seen him learn how fast the things move up front and what it's like to try to block Derek Brown on the backside of a run and how right that first step has to be. I've seen him be really comfortable in space and pass pro because of how big and athletic he is. Hold the point in the run game when we run at him. So in addition to that, Monroe Freeling, Tony, has also gotten some reps at right tackle. So from the looks of this, it does seem to me like they are moving in a direction to get Monroe Freeling on the field, even if that doesn't mean him starting at the left tackle position.
Yeah, I don't think they're in a rush, and I think this is the best way to handle great players is to not put them in positions to fail or that they have to meet some crazy expectations. Rasheed Walker is a very competent tackle. And if we go back to the acclaim that surrounded Ikem Ekwonu prior to his injury, is no one was looking at him going, he is a shutdown tackle for a decade, but that he had progressed enough to where the draft pick was not wasted, and that you could work with this. If you looked at Rasheed Walker and Ekwonu's kind of comparisons and comps, PFF wise, they were pretty similar. Rasheed Walker was a guy in Green Bay that he was always going to lose his job, but he always kept it. He is not out of this world a great tackle, but he is competent and good. And he's a guy that's played to standards and exceeded his standards. And I tell you this, if you go back and you look at the things that we talked about on this podcast through free agency, is to me, as Panther fans by nature, or any fan base is going to be remarkably excited when you add players. You add Jalen Phillips, you add Devin Walker. You're like, oh, you got this. To me, it was this last minute moment of Rasheed Walker with the injury to Ikem Ekwonu that was like, man, this is the cherry on the top for the Panthers. Should not have been eligible for this guy. They didn't prioritize him in the beginning. He shouldn't have been a free agent signing for the Panthers. And then you look at the numbers. Now we can talk about why other teams didn't do this, why other teams didn't do that. But he made this free agency solid. And then you go into the draft and you can draft a guy who you do believe has the skill set to be a decade long left tackle that can change it. But you don't need him to be that from day one. Rasheed Walker, I believe, starts this season. I believe they should start him. I believe he will be a good player and be fighting to get a deal somewhere, somehow, maybe with the Panthers in some capacity. I don't know how that's going to work. But I don't think, I think this was the cherry on the top to the free agency component, because then it lets you go into the draft and then you go and draft this tackle. I think that says a lot about how the Panthers are thinking long term here. And look, to me, I come back when I hear this story, I go back to what CK talked about. And I won't say I disagreed. I'm not disagreeing with you, CK, about what you said in the past, like last week or the week. Whenever we're talking about Ikem Ekwonu, how his future with the Panthers, and you were like, somebody's going to give him a chance. Somebody's going to do this. It's bananas to me that Walker fell into our lap and that another team didn't give him more money. Maybe not a lot of money, maybe, but a 1 year, $14 million deal or something like this. The Panthers got this guy on pennies on the dollar, and it gives us a good player, and you have confidence going in this season, and it gives you so much latitude of how you could approach the handling of something that is a very cherished possession in your first round pick of Monroe Freeland.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that when he got signed was that he had been attempted to be replaced multiple times in his tenure in Green Bay. Right. And the fact that he has won those battles more often, I mean, pretty much every time he's been put up against somebody, is impressive to me. And I think it tells us that this guy has the potential to actually win that starting role. I don't think that's a direct indication that Monroe Freeland is a bad player or a bad pick, but I know that will inherently create some anxiety for Panthers fans, thinking that pick is then a wasted pick because we're going with a guy that isn't necessarily touted at the level that Freeland was, as far as being a first round draft pick. But I again, it's a 1 year deal, and I think allowing Freeland to learn behind a guy like that, I don't think is a negative ultimately. So I mean, I think again, I think having him on the team is incredibly valuable, and I think it could put this offensive line in probably one of the most stable environments that it's been in probably a few years.
It means that we really do have some depth, CK. And there's even reports that Ikem Ekwonu might be able to come back at some point this season. So between Rasheed Walker, Monroe Freeling, and maybe Icky coming back, all of a sudden, that's not bad left tackle depth there at that position, seeing as how it is the most coveted position on an NFL offensive line. To cover this a little bit more, we want to shout out Joe Person. He did an analysis for The Athletic, talking summer questions, how rookie versus veteran battle at left tackle is shaping up. This is again from Joe Person. It says, based on how Canales divided up spring snaps, it appears veteran Rasheed Walker will enter camp getting the first team reps as Bryce Young's blindside protector. Walker, who started 48 of 51 games this past 3 seasons in Green Bay, spent OTAs and minicamp working ahead of Monroe Freeling. Many analysts thought Freeling would need time to develop after starting only 17 games in Georgia. By signing Walker to a 1-year deal in March, the Panthers don't have to rush Freeling into the lineup at left tackle, a position that became a priority when Ikem Ekwonu injured his knee in the playoff loss at the Los Angeles Rams. Canales has seen steady growth from the 6'7", 315. By the way, he's also bulked up, so now 325-pound Freeling, who was the 19th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Canales would go on to say, I've seen him learn how fast things are moving up front. I read this earlier. What it's like to block Derek Brown, hold the point of attack. Meanwhile, the 6'6", 324-pound Walker said he expected to start when he signed a prove-it deal in March. I want to be on the field, and I ball, he said. That was the mentality coming here on the front end, and it's going to be my mentality when we get back. Boys, I'm just being honest. I don't remember another time where I felt more safe at the left tackle position. Now, we don't know what Freeling will be at that position yet, but based on everything that we saw from his time in Georgia, how big, how athletic he is, and how dominant Rasheed Walker has been as the top left tackle prospect in free agency, dude, when have we ever been this comfortable at the left tackle position? You know, I've always had my trepidations about Ikem Ekwonu being able to man that position. And last year, and even to some extent the year before, Icky looked okay. Mm-hmm. But now I just feel so much better about that blind side, knowing we have a dynamic young rookie looking to take that spot and a veteran who's only on a 1-year deal and does give the Panthers enough leeway to see what they do have in Monroe Freeling. I don't know if I've ever felt more comfortable at that left tackle position than I do right now.
This is why you have that feeling, is because in the past, regardless of if you thought that Ekwonu was progressing and is going to be the guy or whatever, and I'm not saying or whatever in a mean way, it was all this or bust. This or bust. I mean, if you think, I can go back before the pounding of the build that wall for Cam Newton that we had on this show for years. Going in, Dave Gettleman, for all the great things he did, he had some big kerfuffles, and that is, I can remember the Byron Bell can play left tackle because he's left-handed, and I'm a southpaw, so don't worry. I have no problem with celebrating being left-handed in the 13% or whatever it is of the world that is left-handed. But this is what I've talked about on this show and some of the past on this and recently. about the excitement on these teams that you look at the starting roster and you go, we might have something here. But if that starting roster does not hold, then it's a house of cards behind it. And this is why you feel that feeling, Cody, is because it's not Rasheed Walker or bust. It's not, and take away, if you didn't have Rasheed Walker and you drafted Monroe Freeland and you're very excited about him, injury, struggles at rookie, whatever, and all of a sudden the whole team, the whole season is falling apart because of that. The reason you feel good about this at left tackle is not because you have just insane confidence in Rasheed Walker being great, or that Monroe Freeland is going to be great out the gate from day one and be mistake-free. Is that if one thing goes wrong, it doesn't make the entire position at left tackle a bust.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, absolutely. Like I said, I feel good about it. I think we're in a good position. Tony, you want to take some calls?
Yeah, let's do it. Guys, you can be a part of the C3 Panthers podcast. We do this every week, by the way, at 9 p.m. Throughout the season. In the regular season, the call list is going to be long, and the post game is going to be longer. Right now, you have an opportunity to get in and let us know what your thoughts about the Carolina Panthers are. If you want to talk about the Hurricanes, hell, John B. Jenkins is going to call in and talk about football, the fish. Probably, I wonder if he's going to talk about football. Nah, I don't think he's going to talk about that. And maybe
the World Cup is going on.
But you got some people that are always going to be there. Thank you for your time, your attention, your energy. It's your time to be a part of the conversation. Numbers 252-228-5098. Let's hit those cat calls. Cody.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Tony Dunn, Cody Lack, the C3 Legion. It's the Hope Dealer checking in real quick. Hey, got quite a bit to get into today. First and foremost, man, let's go Canes, baby. Great job to Coach Rod Brindamore. Man, what a legend. What a legend, man. Full circle, 20 years later. Man, I just wanted to shout out to the Carolina Hurricanes, man, on that Stanley Cup. Let's get into it. I might not be able to get this all in one call, but I'm going to try. But I wanted to give a shout out to my man, Cody Lack, man. Cody, I heard you hold it down, man, on the Believe in Panthers podcast with Desmond Johnson. I really enjoyed it. And I heard Cody, of course, last week when he was talking about XL and Dave Canales giving XL praise. But hear me out. Now, I could be a conspiracy theorist, y'all, but think about this. Could it be that they are pumping up XL this offseason to try to make him more attractive trade bait? Think about it. Based off XL's performance, he could never be traded. So what I'm saying is, I think they might be trying to make him look more attractive by saying that he's the best looking wide receiver in the camp and everything. I heard you talk about that, Cody. Try to sell him to get better trade value. Give me y'all thoughts on that, man. That's my take on it. I might be a conspiracy theorist, but yeah, I'm gonna call right back. I do got a second call. I'm gonna call right back. This the Hope Dealer.
All right. Thank you, Hope Dealer, for calling in and being part of the show. I would say that theory or that idea would have more legs in a different capacity than the way Cody bumped into Dave Canales in a, I guess is that since we're sports fans, we're fans, we're not journalists. We never claimed to be journalists, right? By any means, is that if you were a journalist and you bumped into them and you talked about those things, I don't know if they're in capacity off the record. You know what I'm saying? It was conversational, right? It was not in press conferences. It was not in an interview capacity. And Dave Canales, I know, Cody said we have a podcast, so he's not going to let out anything. I think this is that if you saw them talking about that in those capacities with outlets like ESPN or the Joe Person with the Athletic or this, and it's like you felt that, then I could understand what you're saying. The sentiment is like, oh, are you trying to boost his confidence? Right. I think that first it would be less about trade inflation and more about somehow that you felt like XL was delicate and you needed to make his psyche make like we're behind him. But I think when it comes to his interaction with Cody in where they were at the Bananas game, a friend, a friend. Yeah, he knows he's got a podcast, but Cody didn't ask about XL. They brought it up. I felt like the naturalness that it comes into that doesn't feel like it lends towards that. The other thing is I saw that the Atlanta Falcons traded a wide receiver to the Chiefs for the Chiefs got a wide receiver and a 7th, and the Falcons got a 6th round pick. And I thought, man, the news cycle is fucking slow because none of that fucking matters. That guy's not going to make the team. I don't think that whatever you could say or do about XL, there's no trade. There's nothing that would behoove the Panthers to trade him to somewhere else. And I don't think the other teams are really even in the just because he was drafted high or whatever is like, no. I mean, we got to just find what's his name, the Cowboys coach owner, Jerry Jones, like just like is he got dementia and you can get Mingo for a third or whatever the fuck that was the most
yeah.
That was insane.
But one, thank you to the Hope Dealer for the kind words. Once again, I did join Desmond on the Believe in Panthers podcast, so check that out. That was really fun. But Tony, I'll repeat what I said then. To me, it felt very genuine. Because if you remember the context of when we started talking about Xavier Legette, he brought him up unprompted.
You weren't asking about him.
Right. I was not making it a point to ask about XL. He made it a point.
You were asking about Bryce
Xavier
and his
Legette.
weight.
And his words specifically were that through this point in OTAs, Xavier Legette has been the best wide receiver in at practice, at OTAs. That included Chris Brazel, that included Coker and Horn. So, this is something that I feel they're really genuine when they do talk about what they feel like he's going to be in this offense. And remember, they don't want the egg on their face of having this entire organization moving up to the first round, the literal first wide receiver that they drafted after Bryce Young and is Xavier Legette. They're going to give Xavier every opportunity to prove himself. And to Xavier Legette's credit, in his interviews, he kind of knows that his ass is on the line right now. He knows that this is a big time year for him to prove it and put up or shut up, especially seeing as how an undrafted free agent from that same draft class got paid money before he did. So I don't think that there's any intent right now to trade Xavier Legette.
And you have another year. You could do it next year.
Right. Something could happen in that time. Maybe they want to move on from him before the trade deadline.
This is year 3.
But that all depends on what he does this season. And if he starts out slow, that's the only way that it would happen. But then he wouldn't even have any trade value. So just being honest, I do not see the Panthers looking to move on from XL. And if they're lying, they're doing a very good job of it.
CK, there is we talk about the stock market or stocks, and you can have the sunk cost fallacy, right? Where it's like, well, I put this money in, but you don't lose on the stock until you sell it. Right. I mean, technically is like, yeah, it's not worth what you paid for it. But I can sit around. I had this stock APA, which is it's Appalachian. And when I say stock, it's like $300, right?
Sure.
But it's a oil stock, and it's a North American oil company. And I bought it back like 8 years ago when natural gas was going crazy, and they were saying natural gas is going to be the fracking in the future and all of this. And this oil has been down for years and years and years, right? Like, I mean, it's like it finally came back because of the Iran shit, you know, and with more domestic production. I could have sold it though at a complete loss. Does the sunk cost fallacy here? I don't think it works entirely with Xavier Legette or something like this. Is like, I would rather just lose all my money than for you to give me $1 for something. You know what I mean? If you give me a 6-round pick, when I looked at that Atlanta Falcons trade, I thought, man, there's no news to talk about because none of this guy's probably not going to be on the team. The 2 picks that were traded don't matter. Is like, to me, the Panthers trading XL, it would just be better for them to take a loss in the end.
Yeah, I mean, the part of it is, no, he's the first round pick, so there's so much of his contract that's actually guaranteed. Am I right?
Yeah, but if they cut him now or they trade him, they don't get any of that. They got to pay all of that. They get 4 years with a first round pick. You get 4 years. Boom. You get him under contract. It's basically guaranteed, I think, throughout, right? The first 4 years. And then the benefit of being a first round pick for a team is that they could, if you're doing really well, give you the 5th round option. It's year 3 for Xavier Legette. He's had 2 years. They have 1 more year to decide. They're not going to go into this year and give him the 5th round contract. If they trade him for peanuts, it's a wasted draft pick. You know, I mean, they don't have to. I mean, but if he turns out to be kind of good this year, they could maybe, they probably won't even give him the 5th year option. They probably say this, play it out, and then we'll give you a Jalen Coker deal or something to that effect. I don't think at any point, at this point, for the Panthers, it would be in their benefit to trade for nothing, a future nothing, for a guy that you could just say, hey, the worst case scenario is we're going to, another player is going to just play more reps than you.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, before we move forward, shout out to Tim Stellings. We love you, man. You've been a big time fan of this podcast for a while.
I know he occasionally will message me and call me.
Dude, Tim's the man. Nothing but good vibes and love to Tim. You got this, brother. We're all believing in you. Keep pounding, man.
One day, one moment at a time. Even a setback, every step, one step forward each time. Even if you step back, you keep moving forward, my man. All right. Okay. Who we got next? Oh no, let's take another call. We got I think the Hope deal. Let me see. Oh, look, update to Google Voice. Looks good. Ooh, what do they call that, CK, with the interface?
The UI.
Yeah, looking good. A little different. Let's go.
Hope doing a second call real quick. Hey, but man, congratulations to the one, the only Mr. Jalen Coker. 3-year, $35 million extension, baby. I love it. Think about his deal versus what Green Bay gave Christian Watson. I'm just saying, look, I think it's so smart of our organization to get ahead of it, y'all, especially knowing that they may have to pay Bryce soon. Coker is so underrated, especially when he's healthy. I just think about that, man, with, in comparison to Christian Watson, another legit wide receiver number 2. But in my opinion, y'all, I think Coker is a better receiver than Watson when healthy. I think that this was a boss move by Dan Morgan. Plus, we won't have
this
our
is a
money
fan
piled up in
call.
receivers for years now. You know, with TMAC, this only being a second year, Brazel being a rookie. And honestly, I don't care what y'all say. Sorry, Cody Lack. I don't think XL is going to get that fifth-year option, man. But just think about this, y'all. If Jimmy Horn or John Mechie or Bryson Tremaine hit, you know, with T-Mac, Coker, and Brazel, man, that's a cheap wide receiver room that's pretty decent quality. I mean, we got a number 1 in T-Mac and a number 2 in Coker locked up for sure. You know, all we need is that number 3. But, hey, one last question, man. Why people be hating on David Moore so much, man? I like David Moore. Dude is trustworthy, man. You know, you need a veteran in that room with all these young guys. But, hey, anyway, man, give me y'all thoughts on that. This the Hope Dealer. Love y'all. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding, Hope Dealer.
I might have dismissed this too quickly. And Hope Dealer, I apologize for that. You think about, I guess, this tells you how much Christian, like a draft, where you're drafted dictates who you are and how the league perceives you. Christian Watson for Green Bay, he has played more years. He's played from 2022, right? So he played out his rookie deal. I was expecting the numbers to be way bigger than they were for the contract, right? The $92 million. Let me see. 4 years, $92 million, $23 million. This is where I'm celebrating the Carolina Panthers. I'm telling you, they don't like to rock into free agency when it comes to these wide receivers. The Coker deal on top of it is not just a 3-year deal. You get this year, and it's an extension of this year. So you basically have him for 4. When you think of Christian Watson, right, and you hear those numbers, what would you expect him to be doing per year? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, just say receptions. How many receptions per year? Yards. What would you guess it was in the ballpark of? Anybody? $92 million over 4 years. He's getting $10 million this year, $11 million, 24, 29. I mean, it's a significant deal. Let's see. Total max value with incentives. Guarantee. He got 31 guaranteed. What would you, all right, how about this? How many catches do you think that he would average per year? Like, if I gave you the over under, if I said that he had 38 catches per year, would you say over or under? For a $92 million deal.
Over.
Okay. CK? 38 catches.
I mean, it's got to be over, right?
You would think, right? He has only had over 38 receptions in one season, and it was his rookie season. He had 41 catches. Now, look, here's the deal, is he hasn't played full seasons. He's only had one season. He played 10 last year. He had only played 9. Okay. If I said I was going to sign you to that deal, would you say over or under 680 yards per year? Would you say over or under?
So over what? 600 and what?
All right. So does he average over 680 yards receiving per year? You're going to sign him to a $90 million deal. Would you, if we signed Xavier Legette next year to a $90 million deal, would you expect him to be a 700 plus receiver or not?
Yeah. He's
Yes.
fucking better.
Okay. Right. So would you think that Christian Watson averaged over 680 yards a season? Over or under? And I'm trying to make these numbers look so you guys have some. Maybe you can choose under, maybe you can choose over. I think the answer is over, right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, this is Christian Watson's stats. 2022, his rookie season, he had 41 receptions, 611 yards, 7 touchdowns. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, so he had 9 that year. 2023, he had 28 receptions in 9 games, 422 yards, 5 touchdowns. 2029, 620 yards, 21. He had 2 touchdowns. Last year, he only played 10 games. He had 35 receptions, 611 yards. Now he did, 35 receptions. He's averaging 17 and a half. He had 6 touchdowns. This guy has never crested 650 yards in his career in a season. I feel like crazy. Steve Smith wants to go punch every fucking receiver signing a contract in the face right now.
Yeah, that's insane. That's not even like contract, in my opinion.
Or yes, and on top of that is, I was trying to think of if I had a receiver that got 700 yards, I would think he was good, but not great. You know, if Jalen Coker rose out there next year and has 700 yards, I'd be like, he had a good season, but I'm not like, this mug is fucking taking over the world. I'm sorry. I don't know if maybe those numbers are not right. I did Gemini those numbers, but I just said, give me his stats.
If those are indeed correct, that's honestly kind of wild.
Do you think that had something to do with the running back that killed his girlfriend, or not killed his girlfriend, but is it Josh Jacobs? And they're like, we have to have some sort of offense. So
no, he didn't kill him, but I would
not kill. I don't, but he's not playing. He's not going. Ray whatever your Greg Hardy or which I think
Ray Rice is probably a better example than Greg Hardy, but I don't know, man. But I get the overall point that you're trying to make, though. That
620 yards is his biggest year.
You're wanting a level of production that warrants a kind of contract like that. And, I think right now it's looking like Jalen Coker is a steal. And Xavier Legette, to this point, is looking like he has at least a decent long way to go before he even gets to numbers that would ever come close to justifying a contract like that.
Well, good news for Xavier Legette is you can tell him right now is Christian Watson only had 611 yards last year and got a $92 million contract, bro. Go out there and fucking eat up 850 yards, and who knows what somebody will pay you.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. We need it. We need it. We
Robbie
really
Anderson, that makes you feel like Robbie Anderson was underpaid.
Yeah, really.
Okay. All right, sorry. I'm going on a tangent, but that's insane, dude.
No, it is.
I really expected he didn't have a single.
You said that was Christian Watson.
Isn't that's who that got the big deal, right?
Yeah,
Christian Watson. Initially reported. This is what it says: is initially reported as $110.5 million deal. Actually structured and filed with the league is much more team friendly. The Packers used a highly structured incentive approach to protect themselves against his past injury history. Base value 4 years, $92 million. Average annual
Dude, those
value.
numbers are real. 611 yards and 25.
You got 31 million fully guaranteed.
Yeah, the most touchdowns he's ever had in a season was 7.
He catches some touchdowns.
that
I
was
mean,
in
7 is legit.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
that's
in
like
2022.
that was his rookie year, right?
Yeah, right. And then the next year he had 5. The next year after that 2, and then 6 in 2025. That's a wild contract, man.
I'm
That's
telling you. That's why I'm telling you the Panthers are we're on, or I think I'm onto something. Is that the Panthers? The reason they drafted Tet early, like, do you remember how nuts we went? Not we, but people went over because our defense was in shambles, and you had the guy that went to Atlanta. There was all this is like, how can you not address the defense? How can you not address the defense? And he went got a wide receiver here, and some people are like, oh, he's not even that great. He's not even that great. But then you give a meager extension to Jalen Coker. I think the Panthers are smart in this, in truly just trying to avoid the market of wide receivers contractually outside. Is like, hell, let's just try to keep this in-house as much as we can, because you go out there and you can pay a proven receiver, but he's going to be like $23 million for a year. So, I mean, this guy got a ton of money and he's never had over 620 yards. I'm telling you, Steve Smith is ready to beat some motherfuckers up. Let's go to the next call.
Hey guys, John B. Jenkins calling in with another alternative football update for you guys for the week. I want to start off with the UFL. They had their championship game this past weekend, and it was an exciting one, actually. I really enjoyed the coverage of it, all the little segments that they did. It was held in Washington, D.C. at Audi Field, home of the D.C. Defenders. And the D.C. Defenders actually were in the game. They hosted the game. And then the Louisville Kings came out of nowhere. I think they started the season off 0-3, if I'm correct. And anyway, made it to the championship game. And Tony, this one is for you, buddy. Steve Logan.
Oh,
that's right. Steve Logan is a champion. He was the offensive coordinator for the Louisville Kings this year. And then I don't know if you've watched some of the UFL games, but they do a really good job of showing the coordinators, how they're communicating with the quarterbacks and things like that. So congratulations, Steve Logan and the Louisville Kings, for winning the UFL championship. Couple of UFL to NFL transactions have already occurred. There's about 6 players, I think, that have made the jump from the UFL to the NFL. Teams like Chicago, Dallas, Pittsburgh, Denver, Philadelphia, Miami. Hakeem Butler of the St. Louis Battlehawks, coached by Ricky Prohl, I think got signed by Denver. So we'll see if he can stick. I think he had a cup of coffee with the Panthers years ago. But he's a pretty exciting wide receiver. But speaking of promising alternative football prospects, let's move on over to the AFLE, the American Football League Europe, and none other than our very own Panthers Wroclaw, playing in the 6-team league. Quarterback Jamison Wong.
Hold on. What happened there? Keep playing.
Get that man back.
Cornell is lighting up the league. He's looking to be one of, if not the best, the second best quarterback in the league, behind Ben Holmes of the Vienna Vikings. But he's got a star wide receiver that you need to pay attention to. Star wide receiver Michael Harley Jr. from the U. He is really tearing up this league, reminiscent of none other than former Panthers Wroclaw player Kavontae Turpin. So keep an eye out on that guy, Michael Harley Jr. He may actually make the jump at least over to the States. Maybe he'll make it to the CFL, whatever. In other news, our Ozarks Lunkers are 1-2, unfortunately. Do you know what a Lunker is? The CFL regular season has started. You can watch that on CFL Plus. It's free to sign up for, and great games. I enjoy that game, the Canadian game. But anyway, speaking of Canada, let's talk about hockey.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
let's talk about hockey. Somebody said, I thought this was a Panthers podcast, but yeah, it is a Panthers podcast. But at the fact of the matter is, we do have to talk about the world. Number one, John B. Jenkins gives us a alternative football update. Also, Panthers adjacent every time. Panthers Roshla, Ward Roshla, our sister club unofficially in Poland. I think Poland. But also we get to highlight too the connections to the Carolina Panthers in this. And now we're talking hockey. It's it's the Carolinas, baby. And the Hurricanes won the damn Stanley Cup. I don't know if you guys missed this, but the most exciting Stanley Cup. So much so, we got their head coach, the Las Vegas Golden Knights head coach, fired. That mug, good looking fella too, had the audacity to say he left his clothes in the hotel room in North Carolina because there's going to be a game 7, and Carolina came out and dominated it. Let's talk about this, because I'm telling you, the Caniacs, if we could have this, the Hurricanes have made the playoffs for 8 straight years. This is exactly what this podcast needs and wants from the Carolina Panthers, is to have 8 like relevancy. And as a Canes fan, a converted Canes fan, because when I've been a hockey fan before the Canes existed, but because of my place, where I live, it's just by nature, get to go to the games and stuff like that. I have converted to being a Canes fan. Is like, I mean, if you're a Canes fan, is like, this is 8 years of the playoffs, but it's like you haven't had enough to get it done. You haven't had enough to get it done, but you've been relevant. And now they hoist it, man. Mugs are going nuts. And to tell you, like, you look outside that stadium, away games, they're in Las Vegas, and these mugs, the fan base is watching the games outside of PNC Carter Finley. I think it's Carter Finley Stadium. Like, I mean, they're wild, and it's awesome because too. The other thing is, and this is tangent. The South, think about, for a long time, there was a belief that Southerners couldn't be hockey fans, right? And it really was. It was like, man, you're putting the Hurricanes here in what, 1999 or whatever it was.
Well, it's such
and
a
they
northern
weren't good.
sport.
Yeah. And it was like the people that lived here. And it shows you, one, that they endured through some bad years. But if you can build something good, 8 years of playoff hockey. And there was some moments for Hurricane fans where it's like, man, are they ever going to get over the hump? But 8 years of making the playoffs to win this, gosh, all I could do is hope and pray that the Carolina Panthers can make the playoffs for 8 years and then win the fucking Super Bowl. This podcast right now, I would be no shirt on, crazy. Let's go. Let's John B.
Let's go.
All right, guys. This is John B. Jenkins calling in. I got cut off. I think I did a good job talking alternative football, and then the moment I started trying to talk hockey, it cut me off. And that's fitting. But as a hockey dad, I had to call back in and give you my thoughts on what this Stanley Cup championship meant to me as somebody who lives here in Chapel Hill. I moved up here 20 years ago, the year they won the Cup. And then fast forward 20 years later, I'm sitting there watching them win the game, win the championship with my 13-year-old hockey playing son. That's right, number 83 himself, Mr. Big Jack Jenkins.
Let's go.
Defenseman for the Hillsborough Hogs.
Oh, that's what I played.
Anyway, it was fantastic. One thing that is really cool about the hockey scene up here in the Triangle is that while these hockey players do get paid a good bit of money, I mean, they make millions of dollars,
but nowhere close.
But they're not paid like NBA players, and they're not paid like NFL players
or baseball players.
They're very tied into the local community. I mean, my kid is coached by, Aaron Ward is former player from the original Stanley Cup team. Anyway, he's coached by one of his family members. Rob Brendermore coaches a youth hockey team, and we have bumped into him a couple different times at the rinks, and he's just a very personable dude. He's just a guy. And it's such a cool scene, and just to root for this team for so many years, especially, Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov, and Rod, and man, I know I'm just talking hockey, but I don't think I'm going to stop talking about this cup for a while. As a Panther fan, I have never experienced the championship.
Nope. Why does my phone keep doing this? Just randomly cutting off.
And
went to sleep.
It's such a feeling. If you're not a hockey person, man, this is the time to jump onto the bandwagon. Anyway, this has been John B. Jenkins calling in with your hockey dad update. The Carolina Hurricanes are Stanley Cup champions. It is back.
Let's go.
That's all I've got for you for this week. As always, keep pounding Carolina Panthers. Keep pounding Panthers.
Keep pounding.
Go Fish. Let's go Canes. Go Hogs.
Let's
go.
John
B. Jenkins. I love you.
So I'm not really, I've told you guys before, I'm not really much of a hockey fan. But dude, when you're in the Carolinas and your team is playing for the championship, how dare you not show love and support? Also, my girl was also loving some hockey, and she's not even a hockey fan, but now because of this series, she's wanting both of us to watch hockey more. So maybe this next season, I will do a little more hockey watching now that I can say, hey man, my team is champions.
Well, look, and Panther Bro, thank you for hanging out here at Panther_Bo. He said, now I feel bad. I said I thought this was hockey talk, guys. Cool. Bro, don't worry. Everybody is cool. You're cool. I'm not dissing on you on this, but we can tangentially relate this to the Panthers. Right. and no, for real, this is about the fan experience. And it's yes, we are. Look, the Stanley Cup just happened. The Hurricanes won it and this and that. But the idea is at the end of the call, John B says, I want to feel this. I hope I can feel this for the Carolina Panthers. Right. One thing is that's wild. If you think about the Carolina Hurricanes, a team that was put in North Carolina that didn't have a fan base. I mean, at one point they didn't think it was financially viable. It sold to Todd Dunham. And here, John B, here's for your alternative football. Todd Dunham was one of these guys that started one of the first AFL or one of these alternative football leagues. He did it, and then he bought it for an app. And some people thought that it was weird that he wanted it to tank, and he just did it for their digital capacity or something like this. But hockey wasn't supposed to work here, and somehow, it hasn't. They haven't been good. For some streaks, they haven't been good, but they have pulled 2 championships. But they did have this 8-year run. Rod Brendamore is insane. This stat, the head coach for the Carolina Hurricanes, he was the team captain in 2006. He was 40-something years old. He has been part of 99% of their playoff victories, the team history. So the Carolina Hurricanes have existed, and he has either been a player or a coach in 99% of all of their victories, which is an insane stat. But here is how we make it related to the Carolina Panthers, is that they have won 2 championships, which is bananas, right? Just winning 1 Stanley Cup, I think, is crazy. 2, but they have been so good in this last 8-year stretch, but they haven't been good enough. And even then, it's like I have been watching them, I've been following them, and you're like, man, we are great all regular season. You get to the playoffs, you're pretty good, but you run into the Panthers, the Florida Panthers. You run into what was the other team that we always run into? That the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they're big, fast, strong, and we couldn't ever get over the hump. Here's the difference, though: is the fatigue for Hurricane fans is you're making the playoffs for 8 years straight, and the fatigue is you can't get over the hump. But I've been on this podcast talking about the problem with the Carolina Panthers is not that having a bad season or going through a rebuild, but going through this, at what point we don't have a long enough history. We don't have, my grandpa was a Carolina Panthers fan, right? We don't have, like, he's talking about this. Think about this. His son is playing hockey and into hockey. Why? He's 13 years old because the last 8 years he's living in the triangle. He's watching this team do well, and he's become interested in hockey. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but I bet that helped him, his interest into wanting to play that sport. For our discussion with the Carolina Panthers, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, and I know if you guys are just tuning in, but I've been doing this podcast for 14 years now, is we're a young team and we don't have generations of fans. Now we are starting to get to that. We are starting to get to the point where my dad was a Panthers fan. Now I'm a Panther fan, and now my son's a Panther fan. It's very hard, though, when you go through long spells of losing, to have excitement, like to be like, oh man, my son's so excited about football because the Panthers have had losing seasons for 6 years in a row. So what the Panthers need, and what we need, I mean, this would be great for our podcast and for our fan base and for our family, our friends, our kids, is for the Panthers to have some sort of success. Number one. Number two, to have some sort of sustained success. But the worst thing you can have is sustained badness. Like, how do you weather that? So what I'm trying to bridge this conversation to is the Panthers have been bad. When was the last time we had a winning season? 7 years ago?
A winning season
2017.
was
2017. Almost a decade, right, CK?
Yeah, almost. I mean, this year, I guess.
Next year will be 10 years.
Next year would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
like, how do you not only foster a fan base and excitement? I don't need them. Yes, I want them to win the Super Bowl. I certainly do. But if we could get if we could replicate this Hurricanes vibe that's going on,
yeah,
where you're playoff, and now we're disappointed because we didn't win it, but we made the playoffs. But people are excited, and then you win it. Right now, these mugs are going nuts about the Carolina Hurricanes, and what we want on this, what I want, is to have that sensation, and to build it in that way almost would be great. I don't know. Let me ask you this. I'll ask you guys this because I know I've been hogging the mic here. Would you rather just win the Super Bowl next year and have 20 years of badness? Or would you rather make the playoffs for the next 8 years and win the Super Bowl at the end? Or be in the Super Bowl? How about that? It's just be in the Super Bowl.
So you don't win it, we're just in it.
Right. And I don't know how to phrase this. I guess what I think about my friend CK, who's a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and he's like a diehard Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. He loves the NFL. Like, he wears an NFL shirt, like the Shield. He goes to the Hall of Fame game every year. I'm like, damn, dude, you really just. He's like, the Shield. But he loves this. And it's like, man, they've had 2 Super Bowls, but they've had 20 years of irrelevancy in between, in a sense. Would you rather just get a Super Bowl and suck for 20 years, or would you rather be relevant for 10 years with the potential of winning a Super Bowl?
It's okay.
I think that, dude, that's a hard question. If you were to ask a Bills fan, I'd say they want the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know,
but they've had both, haven't they, CK?
Well, they've had
both. They've had 20 years of irrelevancy and
think about it this way. Think about it this way. They just got rid of Sean McDermott, who has been their coach and taken them to the playoffs for what? Is it
7 years straight?
7 years straight?
It feels like it.
It might be even more than that. I don't know. You know, and that's how, if you're a Bills fan right now, your thought is, if it means we're bad, you know, 3 out of 4 years, but one of those 4 years we're guaranteed a Super Bowl, I'd rather be bad 3 out of 4 and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what.
But we're not talking 3 out of 4. We're talking 1 out of 20.
Sure. But the reason I say it in such a matter of fact way for a franchise like that is they were there multiple times. They've been to the Super Bowl 3 times in 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, and
that was back in the 90s. Yeah,
lost all 3 times, and you know,
then they went through 15 years
of, and now they're back into the same thing where it's like, you know, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. You know, they always can make it to the championship game, or you know, and so. But the other part of it too is like that fan base is alive, dude. Like
also a generational team too, where where their dads like.
Sure. But I tell you what, when they were bad, the stadiums weren't as full as they are now.
No, you're right.
You know,
I want to do it like the Canes did.
Keep in mind they sold that franchise in the midst of their like being, you know, it's basically nothing. That franchise sold in the early 2010s to, you know, so it was going through enough of a hardship to where it was sold by the previous owner, not because of just like, you know, it was just, I don't think it was as much of an investment as they were hoping it was going to be, and now that what is it, the Pagano or not the Paganos anyway. So I think from a perspective of building a culture, I think you want to have sustained success over time. But if you never get to the chip, you're never going to be remembered. Like the Bills will not be remembered for being good for 7 years.
No, they need to win it now. I guess the question, Cody, is would you sell your soul for a Super Bowl?
I mean, I get what CK's saying too.
Soul for 1 year,
you know,
and then if you said this, if you were a fan and you said we can win the Super Bowl next year, but we have to go through 20 years of irrelevancy, would it be worth it?
I mean, it sucks, but I guess I probably would do it because I understand what CK is saying. Like the Buffalo Bills were the team of the early 1990s. Like they were it. They were the team. But because they lost all of those Super Bowls, 4 in a row, that's what they're known as. They're not remembered as one of the best teams of the 90s. They're remembered as the team that lost 4 Super Bowls.
Oh, it's kind of a laughing stock in a way.
They are. So listen, as much as it would suck, just because we've been bad for a lot of different years here in Carolina, just having the memory of what it would be like to win the Super Bowl. Like, dude, imagine you're the Chicago Bears and you're a fan who's old enough to remember the 85 Bears. Like, you'll never forget that as long as you live.
No,
you know what I mean? Like that was
remember that. The kids
I mean, but that's how time goes. You know what I mean? But the people that didn't get to experience, they will lay claim to something that is fleeting, that it was for their generation. The younger generations might not have it, but they will have a memory in time where their favorite NFL team, the most popular sport in America, their team was champions. And I would love to see what would happen here in the Carolinas if that actually happened with the Panthers. So, I'm going Super Bowl.
I guess my and this is a cake and eat it too moment, but we watched it with the Hurricanes, is 8 years 8 years straight, the longest playoff run for a team that in the last 40 or 50, is they made it every year, and it was disappointing. It was like, oh man, they made it, they progressed, they got there, but they never got it. The momentum that 8 years built to this moment is better than just a one-off. And so if the Panthers, certainly I would want them to win the Super Bowl next year. And then I could look, I've dealt with them sucking for the last 8 years on this podcast. But think of that crescendo that they're at. Imagine if the Panthers were fucking NFC South champs 4 years straight, 5, and then you win it. The momentum that builds for a fan base must be incredible. And
now, I will say though, Tony, my answer probably would have changed if you kept it to the original one of, well, you're good for 8 years and then you finally win a Super Bowl, because then my mindset would have been
best case scenario, right?
Because then my mindset would have been, well, damn, it's going to take us a long time to win that Super Bowl. But hell, I've already been through a bunch of years where we haven't won a Super Bowl. What's 8 more? And on top of that, you get to at least go into the season knowing that your team is at least a contender. That would have been an easy answer. But the other way, like never winning it, no, you have to get that Lombardi trophy here.
And that is, you bring up a great point, is that it could never just happen. You could just be relevant and never make it. So it's not I think I'm just trying to celebrate the momentum of the Carolina Hurricanes. And if we could have that, and I felt, and this is me waxing nostalgic about when we had a moment where it felt like it was coming that way. When we walked out of 2015 and that Super Bowl loss, I thought the Panthers were going to be, this is how fleeting it can be. That's I guess my point is how fleeting it can be, because I thought, man, we got Cam, we're going to be around. We didn't get it. I didn't think it was over. Oh, all right. We got one more call. Let's hit this up.
Okay.
Hey, this is Woods. I was calling in.
What's up, Woods?
Tap in on Panthers Nation. I feel like we are doing so much in the light on a great scheme of things. With our off season, the plugins we got. Particularly speaking on last year, leading up to the new year, the new beginning. I do feel like all of our contributes, as far as skilled players, quarterback, running back, I feel like everything is set for it to be a great season. But particularly speaking about the defense, where are we? Because I need just a little help on the defense. Are we the same as last year, even though we pick and plug a few new people? Are we the same as last year, or do you think we upgrade? Do you guys think we upgraded a lot from last year to where we all know defense, especially in this era, I mean any era, but especially in this era, defense actually do win games. Do we got an upside on our defense, or is pretty much the same as last year, considering the new plugins we got? Thank you.
Tony, I'm going to jump in on this one. By the way, thank you to Woods for the call. Great call. And it leads right into what we're going to talk about in regards to the defense. But I think we are going to be a much better defense. And part of the reason why is the amount of not only draft picks that we've spent on defense recently between last year and this year, but remember a couple of years back when Dan Morgan had a mission to revamp and fix the offensive line. And he literally did that. He goes out, gets Damian Lewis, gets Robert Hunt, and you see what dividends it paid off adding those two men to the offensive line. I really do feel like Dan Morgan did that this past offseason. He goes out and gets one of the highest profile edge rushers in free agency in the form of Jalen Phillips. Had to pay him a lot of money, but that man is a Carolina Panther for the foreseeable future, with his best years hopefully still out in front of him. And then this man right here. How many times have we been saying on this pod, Tony and CK, that we really need to find the true next heir apparent to Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis? Going through this who's who of different linebackers to play inside has just been wearing on our soul, man. Too many teams have been able to run the football on us, and it's partly because this linebacker position has not been up to the standard of historical Carolina Panthers linebackers. Even back to Dan Morgan and then John Beeson after him. Linebacker play has been one of the keystones of a Carolina Panthers defense, and I feel, and a lot of other people feel, that the Panthers really did make a tremendous step forward by signing one of the NFL's most versatile players in Devin Lloyd. And Ted Nguyen at The Athletic, who ranked Lloyd amongst the 10 most versatile players in the NFL, Nguyen writes, Lloyd was excellent as a run defender and a pass defender, and was a revelation as a blitzer. In coverage, he had 5 interceptions and 7 passes defended. His coverage ability was a big reason why the Jaguars finished first in defensive EPA on passes between the numbers as a pass rusher. Lloyd has 10 quarterback hits and a ridiculous 28.1% pressure rate. Devin Lloyd might be the player that I feel like we're not giving enough attention to, if that's even possible. The big signing was Jalen Phillips. And even I said, if the Panthers are going to be a top defense, it's incumbent upon Phillips being who we think he is. But to me, Devin Lloyd can fundamentally change how people view our front seven league-wide as a team here with the Panthers. So I'm really excited about that. And I think that this year, the Carolina Panthers have the potential to be one of the very best defenses in the NFL. And when we get to our next slide, that will also further bolster my opinion that we're going to have a very good defense in 2026.
I don't know if the Carolina Panthers are going to have a top 10 defense. I don't know. They could not, right? But we have leadership and direction now that was non-existent. We had some talent. We had some talent in J.C. Horn and Derek Brown, but we did not have, somebody said in the chat that they were excited about the center of the defense. But I know what they mean is the center is Derek Brown to Devin Lloyd to basically a to Morrig. But what I think is now you have anchors on a defense. You have leadership on a or on that position on that side of the ball that you can then build the players that are in flux around it. So I know this is that the Carolina Panthers improved on paper for sure. And what that translates into the season week, I can't be sure of. Injuries, this, that, all of that can happen. But I think they have direction, CK. And that is that we have guys that have stepped in. To me, with Devin Lloyd, that's been most impressive is not that he was just a top 5 free agent acquisition and that we've historically, or we've had Band-Aids at this position group, which I will throw Cody under the bus on this, is that,
hey,
I am. I'm going to say this is like it's kind of similar to the running back discussion. For the last 8 years, we've had, linebackers can be replaceable. A guy can go out there and play it. But we have leadership. I think this.
Wait, you're saying that I've said that linebackers are replaceable?
No, but you said it for like running backs. You say running backs are kind of a dime a dozen, but that the same actually that money ball mentality of running backs actually has played out in the NFL at the linebacker position on defense. If you flip what is the running back of the defense, it's been linebackers.
Yeah.
Right. Is they don't deserve the big money. They don't do this. But what I think that we've done, CK, is that we have built, we didn't sign these guys just for what they do necessarily. But Devin Lloyd, what I've been most impressed with is his the confidence, the way he speaks about leading the team. And he's a kind of a vet, so I do look, I will say this is to the caller's point. My whole point is I fully expect the Carolina Panthers that they are better in talent. I think they're better in leadership, and I expect them to be better. I don't know if that jump is from 17 to 12 or from 17 to 8 or 17 to 5. But if the Panthers are not better on defense, and CK is Evero hater.
I wouldn't say I'm an Evero hater, but
Evero has been, in fairness to you, is he's had his fingerprints on this defense. It's not just him. Now he's got the tool. This defense fucking better do their thing. But the offense better do their thing too, because that's been another problem for this defense is that if the offense puts up fucking 15 points a week, I don't care how good your defense is. I expect the Carolina Panthers defense to be significantly more prevalent, prolific than it has been.
Yeah, I think when you look at the additions we've had in the offseason, what I think we all would consider some pretty major contributions from the draft, not only last year, but, I think we have some big hope for as we talked about with Lee Hunter this year. And so, Evero, again, I'll address it. I'm not a Evero hater. I think he has been, I don't know how he has dodged the bullets when it comes to how poorly our defense has played at times. Right. And while I know it has improved, and I think there's some credit that can be provided because of it, this year, we said this last year, but with the additions we had then, this year is absolutely, if we don't see not just noticeable improvement, a massive step forward, it is a direct indictment on Evero. Absolutely no holds barred. You need to remove him from the organization and move on. But
now he's going to go get a head coaching job from maybe.
That's the other part is that. But if that happens, if I'm not mistaken, is Sean McDermott signed anywhere yet? Because I'm happy to bring him back as a defensive coordinator.
He bought a house in Charlotte recently. Yeah, I know.
Maybe that was the maybe we knew the end result was to get Sean McDermott back in the building as a defensive coordinator. But who knows?
And then him and Dave Canales can have a convergence over skin cancer.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I'm not. Yes. That was a big deal for.
Yeah, I saw that on Hard Knocks.
Yeah. So, and I'm not celebrating that. I'm just saying.
No, of course not. Everyone knows that. But so listen, continuing on that path of the defense, if we're talking about Tony, if our defense has the ability to actually be one of the best this year, we talked about Devin Lloyd. If you're excited about Devin Lloyd and what this defense has the opportunity to do, it is because of the two men that we have in the middle. I mentioned first the amount of players that we've drafted on defense. How about the Carolina Panthers spent their second round pick on a dynamic nose tackle named Lee Hunter? And how about Lee Hunter and Derek Brown are putting in work together? This is him, and this is Derek Brown and Lee Hunter really getting some work in. And, you know, it really shows that they want to be able to have that chemistry being next to each other on the field. And I love the facts that our OG vet, Derek Brown, is already helping to impart some of his knowledge on our young, dynamic second-round pick. I love this man. And, you know, just like you want to see your quarterback and your wide receivers building that camaraderie in the offseason, I think defensive players also need to do the same thing. And I'm really happy to see them, you know, getting work in and trying to be on the same page in terms of
first of all,
shape.
Derek Brown looked fucking head and shoulders above this guy. No offense.
In what way?
I mean, I'm not trying to shit on the rookie.
In what way?
Look at that first drill. Look at the go back.
So this is the first drill.
All right, look at this. And of course, he's teaching him. He's learning. This kind of reminds me of one video, but watch this. Look at how and what I'm not trying to dump on Lee Hunter. I'm trying to look at how smooth Derek Brown is. This mug is look, and you can see this mug is a little gassed. He's been working out with you cannot tell me that it looks the same. It may in 2 years, but I mean, Derek, did you not see that? Do you not see? But that's why Derek Brown is the fucking bee's knees.
Yeah, that's Derek.
Look at how smooth.
By the way, they're already drenched in sweat too. So I don't know.
It reminds me of that.
Fresh going into this, but
no, it reminds me of the Aaron Donald video where CK, who's the guy that they just traded to?
Myles Garrett.
No, but the guy that they traded to the Browns.
Oh, you're oh gosh, I've already forgotten.
But they had a video with him early on, and he was working out with Aaron Donald, and he was just fucking gassed as fuck. It just shows you how great this has nothing to do with. Yeah, it has nothing to do with our prospect. This is what I'm trying to celebrate is how good Derek Brown is and how smooth he is and how great he can help him become. Yeah, that's it. I'm not dumping on him. I'm just saying, look, I mean, if you don't look at that smoothness and go, but it should be like that. If you had a Pro Bowl guy and they look the same, that's it. All right.
Wood says, Tony, I like the thought of mind we have in leadership now, and I think that's what I like is that we have a veteran, badass leader like Derek Brown, who is already taking the young man under his wing and wants him to be special, and I think that's going to be a great thing.
Well, here and real quick, and I just want to say this is what I mean too about like anchors and leadership. Is that we have not had this feeling, or at least I haven't for a long time, is that there was a time when it came to the defense or the offense is that there were certain guys that we knew, like we would buy their jersey. We knew they would be there. Like it was, we're building our defense around Luke Kuechly. But it's like we have Luke, we have this. Everybody else is adjacent. And that's good. Like, I mean, like we can bring in good players, we can do this. But if you don't have those anchors to start, like we're all searching for it. And we just haven't. I mean, think about it. Like, whose jersey would you buy? I mean, whose jersey? Like, is that this is the pulse, the temperature, the person that we're Like they're going to be here next year, and we want them to be here next year and the next year. Like we are building it around them, and I guess, I mean, it is JC Horn and it's been Derek Brown, but I don't think that JC has been ultimately big enough. To me, it's been Derek Brown. Derek Brown, what jersey would you guys have bought? Like straight up with confidence. I mean, I could have told you like 10 years ago, I've been like, I buy Cam's jersey, I buy Luke's jersey, I buy Thomas Davis jersey, I buy Matt Khalil, not Matt, fuck Matt Khalil, Ryan Khalil's. Like, I mean, you had these players, Greg Olson, and it's like, this is the 5 guys on our team next year, and now we add to them. And we've had a little, we haven't really had that. So, all right. Enough of that.
So we're going to go back to Joe Person's article talking about Ikem Ekwonu. It says, how long until Ikem gets back? This isn't necessarily a training camp question, since Ikem Ekwonu will start on the PUP list while continuing his recovery from patellar tendon surgery. But to me, it's the Panthers. But it's the tone the Panthers still refuse to answer, either because they're not sure of his timeline or don't want to create expectations by publicly sharing it. All Canales would say last week is that Ekwonu will return at some point this season, and that the 2022 first-round pick is crushing rehab. He's excited about it. The athletic trainers are excited about his progress. They're just continuing to progress him with different types of movement, forward movement, a little bit of lateral movement, and just continuing to see how they can push the envelope a little bit, but in a smart way. His spirits are high, Canales added, as I check in with Icky almost daily and see him. He's got a big smile on his face. He knows the work in front of him. We've talked about this before, and I don't have a ton to say about it, but just that it would be interesting to see what they do decide to do with Icky if he does come back this year ready to play and ready to perform.
He's going to have to make the PUP list.
Is it is it a backup tackle? Is it just, kind of like what Brady Christensen was, just wherever he's needed, they'll fill him in? I really don't know. To me, this is one of the bigger questions on the team right now. And Tony, last Tuesday, you asked me if I had an opportunity to ask Dave Canales another question right now in the moment. It would be this. It would be Icky. Where do they view him going forward? And if he does come back, what position would that be this year?
CK, I don't think the question is about the position. Is will they PUP designate him, right? Isn't that what you have to do to a player that is hurt, that you want on your roster, that you don't want to affect the roster, but then they have to come back by week 8, but you have to activate them by week 11. But if the Carolina Panthers don't think that he is going to be ready to go by week 11 for game time, I don't know. It's like, I mean, wouldn't that, am I wrong? Like, I think that's what you have to do, PUP, and then you have to make a decision. I mean, he's still on the roster. You're not cutting him or anything like that, but
right.
I don't think you can just bring him back at any moment. Like, you have to make a decision if you're going to bring him back. You can't be like, oh, it's week 15, he's ready.
No, I think I do think there's a designation to return period similar to an IR. I don't know. I can't remember the specifics of it because I think there's 2 versions of the PUP, right? There's one that's you're out for the entire year, and then there's one that allows you to come back. And I'm guessing based on the way that they were talking, they anticipate putting him on the one that would allow him to come back midway through the season, if not sooner. But again, I don't know. It depends upon where they value him, right? If we're dealing with an injury at the left tackle position, then sure, bring him back and we can have 2 left tackles again, and we're a little less concerned. But if both of those guys are good, Walker and Freeland, then where does Icky fit in? And do you start to have the conversation of moving him to guard like Cody's been begging them to do?
Okay, here is here are the rules. The preseason active pup. When training camp opens, a team can place an injured player on active PUP list, pup. The golden rule, a player can only be placed on the pup list if they have never participated or played a single snap in training camp. The moment a player participates in even one official practice, even on limited duty, they are permanently ineligible for the pup list. Roster status, they count against the offseason 90-man roster. The deadline, the team can activate them at any point during training camp. So you can have the preseason pup, the regular season reserve pup. If a player goes through all of training camp preseason without practicing, which I expect that would be the case with Ekwonu, and is still not healthy, the team must make a definitive decision at the final 53-man roster cut down in late August. They can choose to activate the player, release them, or put them on season-ending injured reserve IR, or move them to reserve pup. The waiting period. The player must sit out practice for the first 4 games. So you would put them on reserve pup if you believe they're going to play in the first 6 weeks, because it says the waiting period, mandatory the player must sit out and is ineligible to practice for the first 4 games of the regular season. They do not count against the 53-man roster. The return and practice window, the 5-week clock. Once the 4-game absence is over, teams have a 5-week window from week 5 through week 9 to clear the player to return to practice. I'm going to tell you this is, all right, he's either going to get the regular season reserve pup. All right, the final decision window, the 21-day clock, the exact day the player steps onto the practice field, a strict 21-day evaluation clock begins. During these 3 weeks, the player can practice with the team while remaining exempt from the 53-man roster. The final decision, before the 21 days expire, the team must make their final decision, activate them or leave them on the pup and move them to IR. All right, so the Panthers are going to do this. They're going to put him on their regular season reserve pup list, and there's a potential that he just gets moved to IR. There is no way that this team will let him practice because there's too much at stake. I
don't know, man. If he's ready to come back and need that depth, why would they hold him out? For what reason?
Because
it's not like it's going to be of any value to him in the year after.
No, this is why. Because if they activate him in training camp, they have to take up a roster spot for him. Like, he will count against the 53. But if they put him on the reserve pup, he will not count against the 53 until they do not count against the 53-man roster until week 9. That's what they're going to do. If he comes back and plays this year, it will be in week 10.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's what I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. Yeah. You want to bet? We put money on it. That's the thing.
Yeah. I'm just interested in what
play before week 10.
I mean, to me, it's not.
That would be bad for him. If he played before week 10, it would be bad for him and the Carolina Panthers.
I don't know. I mean, to me, if he does come back, cool. But to me, the more interesting question is, what position does he come back at? So another one from our guy Joe Person. Is there a place for Xavier Legette? When the Panthers drafted Tennessee wideout Chris Brazzell in the 3rd round this year, some thought it spelled the end of the line for Xavier Legette in Charlotte. After all, Legette slipped to wide receiver 3 last year, behind Teteroa McMillan and Jalen Coker, the undrafted free agent who signed a 3-year, $34 million extension last week. But teammates and coaches indicated Legette, and again, this is what I said about Canales, teammates and coaches indicated the Get might be figuring out some things after struggling with drops and other mishaps his first 2 seasons. And Young now said he's having next level conversations with Leggett about routes, play concepts, and coverages. Canales saw a commitment from Leggett to be the player the Panthers hope he can be. From the minute he's gotten here, he's 100 miles an hour, Canales said. He's putting time in the playbook, busting his butt on the field, working on the little technical skills. Leggett lost about 8 pounds during the offseason and worked to bulletproof his hamstring. During a Zoom last week, he sounded like a player who knows he's running out of chances. Listen, when you know your job is on the line, that's when you see the best of a person sometime. That's how we got Riverboat Ron Rivera. So we've sort of spoken about this before, but I really hope XL can become a legitimate contributor to the offense this year. Then we can have a bunch of talent up and down this wide receiver room.
Yep. I got nothing to say, CK.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I mean, I'm rooting for it. I mean, like, I think this is, I told you, sunk cost fallacy is like, you guys say it is like, I'm here with XL until it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I think the XL thing right now, again, is just we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, I hate to say it. I think he's about to get outplayed by a rookie third rounder.
Maybe not. I mean, look, it's his opportunity right now.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. No, I want, again, and I think we've all been very clear. I think we like Xavier Leggett's personality. We like his connection to the Carolinas. We think it's a net positive from the perspective of if he's a good player, he brings a multifaceted marketing approach to the team that is highly likable, right? Just his accent mixed with his background, with how down to earth he is. He's out there doing hunting, and he connects to pretty much every part of your Panthers base that you could ever ask him to connect to. And so we want him to work out. And if this is a good sign, then great. But right now, there's a lot of mouths to feed.
My personal message to XL is Steve Smith played like a player that was bigger than he was. Right? Like, I mean, he played. What I want you to, XL, go out there, game 1, catch a ball and fucking mash a DB and run 12 yards after. I mean, just put some country strength on that mug, throw him down, and then we'll all be like, XL's the greatest. Let's go. I mean, just play to your size. I mean, you can do it. You can do it. You're going to be all right. I mean, I don't know if you're going to be all right, but just go mash a mug. Go mash a mug. Cody, what's next? Hopefully that's it, because I have to ice a lot of the world up tonight.
Let me see. So we have our Mike Kaye.
Oh my God! I'm going to tell you this: is I'm going to ice up Mike Kaye for putting out a 53-man roster on June 16th.
I tell you what. We'll revisit this next week.
That is a way too early 53-man roster.
I did think that was the point of it, though.
Okay. All right. You're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast, the longest running Panthers podcast. We're here every Tuesday night, rocking and rolling. Father's Day is coming up this weekend, so I am taking, my son is going to college this year. So I'm taking my entire family, my mother, my sister, everybody, her family. I'm taking them on a small, I mean, it's not anything extravagant, but we're going on a family vacation. So I will not be here next Tuesday. So I have a lot of ice ups to get through, but I am happy to do it with y'all. Cody, can we, on the longest running Panthers podcast, do the longest running segment where we tell some fools to ice up?
Let's do it.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. Everybody is fair game, inside, outside the lines of football. Our family, our friends, even little kids. Because I iced up a 15-year-old kid in Oklahoma once who chose not to be a Panthers fan. I have to start with this, guys, and I mean, we can bounce back and forth, but I have to do this straight out the gate.
Yeah, do your thing. Hold on.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be this. Dude, this is so fucked.
All right, so this happened in Brazil. And I mean, I'm not even gonna show the all right, I will, because the way these people throw this person off. So this bungee jumper in Brazil, I think it was Brazil. All right. So what happens is this person, and I'm pretty sure it was Brazil. Let me hold on. I can minimize this a little bit. 21-year-old dies after workers. Yes,
it was
workers Brazil. Forget and Brazil. So they threw this person off a bridge with no bungee cord.
Yep.
I mean, just threw this young, and it's beautiful. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, just a person. It was a beautiful person, a human being. That these mugs, and the only reason I played it was because they literally intentionally tossed her off the side of that bridge. There's a million things to ice up CK here, but I'm icing this up is that in the first moments that this story came out, they kept saying workers forgot to attach safety rope. And I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean,
it's the main fucking component of your job.
Well, no. Well, yes. I mean, these people have been charged with, homicide, manslaughter,
involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, stuff like this. But I guess maybe I should be happy that the internet didn't just go crazy at first. But like the news reports, they called the bungee rope a safety rope. And my thing is this, is that when I read it, I was like, the safety rope, like when you say safety rope, it feels like there should be a secondary rope to the bungee cord. They forgot, like, I mean, the safety rope was the actual bungee cord.
Yeah.
You know, it was not like, oh, we have a bungee cord and we have a fail-safe cord we call the safety rope. So I'm icing up they forgot to attach the bungee cord. Not forgot. I would argue that this is that, I don't know. I think forgot is too lenient, but I'm icing up safety rope. It's called a bungee cord. And now we need bungee cords with safety ropes. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's insane. I mean, it is. They just threw this person off a bridge. That's all they did.
Yeah, no, I think for me, the thing that's incredibly suspicious, I'm not going as far as saying that I think it's malicious, but let me ask you this. I watched that video, and if that rope had been attached to her, they're throwing her off of the bridge over their heads. Do you know what could have happened if that rope was attached to her? It could have,
like it wrap around their neck, and
they could have wrapped around their neck, their arm, their feet, whatever it could be, and then they get pulled off. So the reason that I'm saying that, while I think that it's possible this was purely an accident, you would argue that they would have to have somebody who was their sole job is to make sure the rope is in a different spot than over top of the heads of them.
Like they weren't worried about their own safety even.
And so that's where I have an issue with this video. Is to me it feels like almost intentional just by looking at that. And the way that they look immediately down at the rope, and it like I don't know, it was
the
like
story gets wilder. CK is that somebody supposedly took a body cam off the body, like when they hit the ground.
Yeah, a woman attended to her and she was still alive, and then she died later.
Another thing that upset me about too is because we don't believe, or not we, everything I look at on the internet, I'm like fake, is that there were a bazillion comments that were like, this is AI. And people are like, no, literally, like we have fact checked this.
Yeah.
And people refused. It's the saddest. It's terribly sad. That's all. I mean, it's such a sad story. That is not a safety rope, CK.
No, I mean,
that would be like I jumped out of an airplane, I pulled my parachute, but the safety parachute did not work.
Yeah, I mean, that's again, the reason that I think that AI comes into play is because I think when you watch it, you do feel as though
this cannot be true.
This can't be real. Like you see it because it just is such an incredible amount of negligence. And the one thing I was thinking, I took comfort in, at least initially, was thinking, well, at least she never knew. But from what the reports are, is they found her alive.
No, I think these people, I don't know. I'm just leaving it that.
Yeah, just let it.
It's not a safety rope. No. It's not a safety rope, folks.
Nope.
All right, somebody else go, because I have like some small fun ones.
Yeah.
Okay, I also have 4.
Let me get my serious ones out of the way.
Okay.
My serious one.
I have 2
at least.
serious and 2 funny.
So mine is going to be, and I might be stealing one from you, Cody. I don't know. So on June 9th, I don't know if you guys had heard, but the news had run with it. There was in Chicago, there was a cross burning that took place.
I saw something about this.
And the initial reports had framed it as though it was a KKK white supremacist thing that was used to intimidate. And that was the initial reporting. Like that, this is what this was. This was a hate crime, all of this. And so I'm icing up the media again for jumping right to that instead of let any type of investigative reporting, integrity, whatever you want to call it, coming into play. It turns out it was a Chinese student, or I should say Asian. I don't know if for a fact he was Chinese, but it was again supposedly a political protest against Trump and the injustice. And it was against them, MAGA supporters and Christian nationalists. He claims no racist intent. He knew the symbol's history and says he targeted MAGA specifically via the hat. He sent a video claiming responsibility and apologized for offense caused. So again, it could be one of two things. Number one, it was intended to create, what it ended up creating, or it was, a very poorly done protest that was intended to offend the right wing, version of the world, which is many leftists. There's a lot of people on the left side that are Christians who probably were equally as offended. And our media decided to just, let's make it a race war. Once again, I think that we might be getting a bit fatigued by all of this because it's now becoming a lot. There's no shock involved when these moments happen. We all have started to say, I think at least the majority of us have started to question when we see a headline that says something that's a wild, outlandish claim. Is this true? Let's look at other sources. Let's look here. Let's find out if this is actually accurate. Instead of just taking one headline and running with it. Unfortunately, I still think there's a large portion of the country that do not have that ability to use critical thinking and realize that there's an agenda in most of these headlines. So I'm just icing up media again for first thing that their initial interaction or reaction to something is to immediately try to turn it into something that is intended to create divisiveness among the nation.
This has been
one of the first, you're last. Ice up.
This has been one of the biggest eye-opening events for me. Is that the mainstream media, their job is literally to divide you by constantly putting out shit that makes you hate your fellow man. People do not hate the mainstream media enough. Tony, I've got 4. We can bounce back and forth. I know you have some more.
Well, do a serious one. Mine are going to be quick. Like, gonna be like, do your quick, your long one. And
all right, so I'm icing up. Hang on. I'm icing up Tijuana Brown, a former Charlotte, North Carolina City Council member. Her and both of her daughters, Tijuana Brown and Antoinette Rouse, have pled guilty to stealing over $124,000 in COVID relief money. They filed at least 15 fake loan applications for businesses that did not exist. I'll use it. Pause it right here. They spent it on Louis Vuitton bags, a $15,000 birthday party, and Tijuana Brown is a convicted felon who already served federal prison time for fraud years before Charlotte, North Carolina voters put her on the city council. She is currently facing 20 years in prison. So, I mean, the fact that they're just like, yeah, we can do this, and completely do it at the expense of taxpayers and money that was supposed to go to COVID relief. Come on, man. Eyes up, son. Eyes up.
All right. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, I went wrong button. Share screen. All right. This is just fun to me. Drunk white dude. Let me see if I make sure the volume's up because. Oh. This drunk white guys. We can watch the whole video, which they slow it down. You don't want to mess with. You want some of this? You want some of that? No, you don't want none of that. Back,
dude, enough to break your fucking face, dude.
All right, and here, I'll get my last one. I have this other one, which I think I did this one before, or maybe it says this: woman reveals she bought a new Chevy with a $20,000 down payment and basically $1,200 monthly payments for 285 months. CK, I don't believe this can be real. Like, if you can put 20 grand down on a night, I don't believe that. But this one, I will say this is my final ice up, and my ice up goes to people that don't have a woman like this. This is what my wife will do. A real one right here. This happened at a hockey. I think this is a hockey. Yes, it is a hockey game. This guy slaps her husband. But watch this woman. She fucking is a beast. And when she gets pulled back, it's by her husband. He's probably trying to protect her. But find yourself. My ice up goes to this dickhead and to everybody in the world that don't got a woman like this. Watch this right here. Watch. Bam. Get your shit, man. This bitch is she's throwing fucking blows. Find yourself a woman like that. That's a wife you want. That's my wife right there. Oh my God. Get that. All right. Those are my ice ups. Go ahead, Cody. Finish it up.
So I've got another one. I'm icing up not only the dolphin trainer, but the amount of time it takes this woman to push this dolphin off. Like, Sean is having a good old time underneath this dolphin.
What? You ice her up?
I mean,
She needed after that.
Yeah, dude, she needs a cigarette. And the fact that trainer...
they are very sexual dolphins.
I know. They like to fuck.
We talk about how she's holding him.
Yeah, she's like rubbing him. Oh yeah, she will never forget this moment for the rest of her life.
Her boyfriend just got cooked.
Yeah. I mean, in front of everyone and a bunch of other dolphins. Dude. By the way, women's fantasy novels involving like human-like animals is like off the charts in terms of book sales, and I think I can see why. So ice up, Sean. Ice up her and the trainer. You want me to go again?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right. So that was funny. We'll do one more serious.
Oh God, serious. I hate serious ice up.
I know, man. So 3 Giants pitchers wore Bible verses on their Pride Nights cap during Friday's game, and the MLB has since issued a warning to them. Now, just for context, these players didn't cover up the Pride logo. They didn't write anything demeaning about it. They simply had Bible verses on their caps. And the utter hypocrisy here to say that one of these things is okay, but the other one isn't, is frankly fucking disgusting to me. Like, you're allowed to be open and supportive of one, but the other one you get literal warnings for. To me, this is the type of warning that, the type of thing that it pushes people in the wrong direction. I don't care who you love. I don't care what you decide to do with your own body. But when you do shit like this, it has the exact opposite of the intended effect that you think that it has. And it's bullshit, man. The MLB, they've done this, and also the NBA did this with one of their players recently who was talking about God. And it's like, it's very, very, very fucking hypocritical. So, dude, to the MLB, ice up, son, because to me, that's the very definition of hypocrisy. And Tony, this one's an homage to you.
Oh God.
And the only reason that I found it.
What I've also learned is that I just like people getting beat up. Have you guys seen the Spurs fan that beat up New York?
Yeah, it was like fighting a whole mob of New Yorkers.
And man, that guy is a fucking awesome. He's awesome.
So Tony, the only reason I know about this is because you reposted it. So this is a kind of like a dual ice up pick for me and you. This man at the World
where is the ice up? I don't find any ice on that. I feel a celebration right now.
I'm not icing up the old man. I'm icing up the dude filming the old man taking a picture
like he's better.
Dude.
Oh my God. To me, I was like, live your life.
Like this old man is looking at some tail feather at the Mexico game.
Let him live his life.
The Latino booty. And you had to out this man in front of the whole fucking world. Come on, dude.
I feel like this is like this guy has no shame. He should not have any shame. I'd be like that. Text that to your 88-year-old friend. Come on, you still got some breath in your lungs, homie. I got no pro. You're right. We're icing up this motherfucker that tried to make him look silly.
Hell yeah.
Because he just looked like a hero to me. It's the Panthers podcast brought to you by these three knuckleheads. My name's Tony. That's Cody Lack, and that's CK. Cody, man, you'll be back here on Tuesday, and I'll be back here in 2 Tuesdays. Take us out of here, my friend.
C3 Legion. Love y'all. Keep pounding.